Thanks, Pat. Yeah, so the walk will be taking place on Edgware Road, and we'll be looking at layering of past, present, and future. Just a little bit about Costas. Costas is a London-based graphic designer. He's mostly interested in the printed page through typographic and tactile experimentation. He's interested in finding an appropriate visual language to articulate concepts. And he'll be joined by Louise, who is a French-Lebanese multimedia communicator. She wanders through subjects of neo-diasporic identity and journalistic practices. She grew up between the quietude of the French countryside and the always boisterous Beirut. And if there aren't any other questions, I'll hand over to Costas and Louise to get going. Thank you.
I could jump in, I guess. So yeah, I want to say hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Friday in our time capsule workshop. Today we'll be exploring different fragments of Edgware Road, some historical, some current, some discovered and some undiscovered. Through our workshop, we're hoping that we can reimagine together these segments of the road and perhaps some exciting narratives can emerge. But yeah, we just hope that this workshop encourages everyone to research your own local areas through observing, researching, and reimagining your surroundings. So yeah, that's it from my side for now.
Yes, I think it would be nice to also start by explaining how we came to choose Edgware Road and what our relationship is to this place. Again, hi everyone, and as Alistair was bringing up, I'm French and Lebanese, and when I moved to the UK, I wanted to find a space to be able to reconnect with things from home. Would that be food or nights out with people from the same community? So I was looking on the internet, like, where can I find the Middle East community? And every pointers were turning me towards Edgware Road. And since then, I was exploring the street over and over again to find out about bits and pieces that were relating me back home. So that's my relationship to this particular street. And Costas has also a really personal story towards it.
So I think food was also an introduction to the road for me as well, because my mother is originally from Cyprus, and there's a lot of Middle Eastern connections and parallels in foods and spices. And this is somewhere that we would always visit when in London. So we'd always walk in supermarkets around the Edgware Road neighborhood. So yeah, and the last couple of years I've been working and living around the area as well, which helped me have a new take and find new details about the area. And throughout the last year, I've been recording, archiving, and photographing a lot of spaces around food in the area. So I guess this is my connection to the road. Yeah.
Yeah, and we decided to organize together this workshop so that we could allow people to also understand a bit of our methodology for research, but also for people to reappropriate it. So about the organization of the workshop itself, what we're going to do is that we're going to give you a list of postcodes that are going to be the hints for you to look for bits and pieces and anecdotes about the streets. So we're going to share them with you on this Google Drive link that Alistair shared again in the chat. So basically we're going to do a jump and hop from one place to another. So what will happen is that I will be comfortably sitting and overlooking the digital situation of this workshop while having Edgware Road playing on the backdrop. Meanwhile, Costas will take us physically to the spots that we will be looking at. So we're going to do this small unpacking journey, chronographic journey. And once we go along all the street, we will give you guys 15 to 20 minutes for the ones that are willing to reappropriate the data and information that we will get from the space. So if you found, for example, an interesting image that inspire you or a bit of text that inspire you, you can reappropriate it yourself, write something. It can be as simple as one word or just like one snapshot with your phone. But yeah, the idea is to commonly together create a time capsule about this particular instant on Edgware Road. So I think I will share now the first document that we will be looking at. So basically on this document, you have all the locations we will be looking at from A to J. And next to it, you have postcodes or numbers on the street. So if you can see myself, I'm hovering, for example, on the number E, which is number 51 to 53 on Edgware Road. And some others are the actual postcode. So for each location, we will take 5 minutes to look into it. So basically what we can do, as soon as Costas is ready on the first location, we can get there. So,
sorry, Louise, just quickly,
yes.
Are you trying to share screen by any chance, or?
Oh, no, I was not sharing screen, but I thought that on the document, if someone selects something, can you see it?
Oh, so you want us to be on the live? Sorry, yeah, I got that wrong. So you want us to be on the document whilst?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So if you're now on the document with the locations, I now highlighted a bit in yellow, for example. So this one is a number on the street, exactly, and the second one that I will be highlighting is a postcode. So that will be helpful for the next steps when we will have to unpack each spot. So basically, now, Kostas, are you at the first location right now?
I am, but I don't want to show too much. So basically, I think after those 5 minutes, I will unveil the location. So I'll walk from place to place. And yeah, once you've found an image about the space, I can then show where I am and we can speak about it. And Louise and I are going to uncover some information that we found about the site.
Yes. So basically now we're on the first location that I put on the chat. So we're going to take 5 minutes. And it's all free for you guys to use whatever tool is the easiest. So maybe Google Maps will be your best friend now to first discover where we're at. And once you understand at which location you are, you can look for information about it. So if you find an image, if you find an article about this place, just grab a screenshot of it or keep it open on your tabs, and we will talk about this in 5 minutes.
Okay, so we were going to rejoin in at my clock says 16, 18, 19.
Exactly.
So rejoin. Okay.
Yeah. Right, 10 seconds to go. Kostas, are you ready to reveal the location you're at? I see that some of you added some findings. So basically, Kostas is gonna
Hello?
take us. Yes, Kostas is gonna take us through this first location.
Yeah, great. So as you can see, this is the first location uncovered. It is quite known as the Speaker's Corner, an area where open air and public speaking, debate, discussion happens quite often. It's a starting point for many marches and protests as well, such as Extinction Rebellion and most recently for the freedom of Palestine. And yeah, until this day, in the weekends, people would always speak about causes they believe in. So this is location number one.
And some of you added some other findings, which is interesting because it didn't connect to the speaker's corner itself, but other things. So does anyone want to share and talk through what they found out about the place? If not, that's also fine. We can move to the.
I think when I typed in the postcode, Louise, it was quite a big area on mine. It kind of showed the whole area between Hyde Park and the Westway, the big road. So I thought it was the whole it was between, that whole section between Hyde Park and Paddington, basically.
Yeah, because the speaker's corner itself is not like allocated to one specific spot, but it can spread, especially when you have like marchings or like protests starting there. So, but that's interesting to see also, like how much this can spread over on the around it. So basically, that's the opening of Edgware Road, really, but it doesn't have a fixed gate around this. And so someone found about an empty cafe, the Café Nero, that is something that also we see a lot in Edgware Road, like a lot of places how now completely switching identity, moving from one landlord to another. And that's really interesting to also see like the small engraving just below. So you have that. Someone found out about the senior site manager, which I don't really know what it's about. Like, did the person who found this know what is a senior site manager or something?
Yeah, that was me. It's just for a new hotel in Edgware Road. Okay. So there's like a job vacancy for a new build. They must advertise, hotel posts before the hotel's built.
Right, that's also interesting. I didn't know about this. There's an interesting screenshot about a lady walking and yellow lines. And an open air towards the sky. So I think, what we can definitely see about this is like this location doesn't have a real physical embodiment. It's more, this idea of the speaker's corner. So now we're ready to move to the second one, which I will put in the chat in a second. And meanwhile, Kostas will walk towards it. So, okay, let's regroup at 28. So 7:28.
Louise?
Yes, tell me.
Just to say that I found a place called Connaught Palace or Place.
Mm-hmm.
And it like Google showed a plaque of Winston Churchill's father and then a photograph as well. So I did like a drawing.
Super nice. Super nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't see the whole map, so I don't know if it's close to where you're saying or not. I need to go and get it on my phone. It's better.
No, that's really nice. Keep it next to you for the final part of the workshop. We will be uploading all of this. Okay, more or less 1 minute to go. Kostas, have you reached the second location? All good. Right, Kostas, I think we're ready to see the second place, which has been named and I think uncovered by most of you. So there we go, Marble Arch. So a bit about what we know from Marble Arch is that it used to be the grand entrance to Buckingham Palace in the first place. So that would be the entry by which all visitors would come in to the Cour d'Honneur, which is the main esplanade in front of Buckingham Palace. So that used to be its first use, and then was moved during the Great Exhibition in 1851 and became the grand entrance of the Great Exhibition. That was the exhibition in which you had the crystal baths being made, and all the profits from this exhibition actually led to the construction of the Victoria and Albert Museum, the Royal Albert Hall, but also the RCA. So in a way, the university has quite a link to this small piece of land. So that's from what we know on our end with Costas. Does anyone want to share about what they found out about this? Someone I saw put a bureau de change in Marble Arch, which is quite fun.
Yeah, I put that in. Just it's what came up on my search. I thought it was a good antidote to the arch.
Yeah, actually, that gives it a nice metaphor for the meaning. Yes, that's
got the same kind of stucco.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
I've put an image of the original location of Marble Arch at Buckingham Palace in the chat box. So if you want to click on that.
Yes. Okay, so over there, and let me share my screen. There we go. Here it was. That seems like really peculiar to see it in such a position now, since it's so detached from it for a long time. But yeah, super nice. Okay, I'm gonna add it as well on the shared document. So that was for Marble Arch. Oh, someone put a chart over there. Does anyone want to comment on this one?
I found it. I just found it was quite funny to have this kind of chart of like the repartition of the ethnical origin from the population in this area. Like that was the first thing that came up to me, which I found quite interesting. And yeah.
No, that's really interesting indeed, because like also, I mean, that's one of the biggest symbols of this whole empire. So that's interesting to see also like how the imagery relates to this when you do the research. So thanks for sharing that. And there's a piece of text below that. Does anyone want to?
That was me. I found a poem that I thought was super interesting about actual Marble Arch in the whole area. Sir John Chapman, I think it's a kid.
That's really nice. Kostas, did you know about this one?
No, but I'm excited to read it when it's not raining.
Right. Okay. Last image on this one. So that was Marble Arch. We can move to the next one over there. So I put it in the chat. There you go. And yeah, we can regroup at 736. So we have 1 minute to go. Kostas, did you manage to reach the third spot on the roadmap? Yes? Okay, all good. All right, Kostas, do you want to show us where you're at?
This is the third site of our today's walk, and it's a hint in the dark history of the site, because this used to be a location for public executions from the 16th to the 18th century. You can find references about it in the documentary The Ghosts of Oxford Street. But also the name Tyburn is not to be confused by the Tyburn River, which was running around under Bond Street Station. And yeah, many people lost their lives on this site. So these three trees signify the poles that where the hanging would occur. So yeah, it's a memorial site.
Yeah. To be fully precise, it was 704 people that were hanged over there. Really, really dark moment in history. And I think the last one, if I'm not mistaken, Kostas, it was 1756 or something. The last one.
Yeah, that's right.
So in the findings, I added something that I found out recently about this, that it's also a Tyburn poem is also a format of poem. So there's an example that I added over there, the Tiber Stone. And basically you have on the page for the Tyburn tree, you have more information about this thing. But I found this was interesting also to see that how a location would relate to a format in poetry. There's this really peculiar image at the bottom of a man standing in front of an open van. That's a nice one.
Maybe also some people found it already, but there's a painting by William Hogarth that illustrates an execution at the time. So
yeah, I think it's just above the idle prentice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it depicts this on the location. So that was about Tyburn Gallows. I don't know if anyone has found anything else. But if not, we can then move to the fourth one over here. Kostas, good luck if the rain is letting you a bit of peace. Okay, so we regroup at 44. Okay, right. Augustus, are you in front of the next location? There we go. Thanks. So, perfect. You see people adding more things in. Cool. So, okay, let me go all the way up. So that's that location is Marouche restaurant. That's one of the first Lebanese restaurants that opened on the street back in 1981, and that was opened by Huda and Marouf Abouzaki. And that introduced the street, of course, to Lebanese food, but also to the practice of belly dancing and live music on the street. So that was one of the first places to do it. And it's still carrying on today. Unfortunately, like how, as you can see it right now, it's all closed, even though the easing out of the lockdown is permitting things like this to reopen like slowly and slowly. For now, it hasn't happened with Marouche, but surely it will happen in the future. So a couple of screenshots from the front of the restaurant. Then someone put it a really nice TripAdvisor review, and it's for Adiraki, which is like right next to it on the right. But that works as well. It's the same. It's in the same area, but like there's a barber shop, I think, at the bottom, which is interesting. Costas, can you see the barber shop next to this place?
Not at the moment. Yeah, I think so. I could keep walking on the strip, and maybe it will turn up. Maybe it will.
So that was just an easy one, quick one. But yeah, I think like the most interesting thing about this is still like, yeah, how do you bring up on the street a new practice, which was of belly dancing and those live events around this. So that was a bit of Marouche, and now we can move to the next location, which is number 51 to 53 on Edgware Road. So we can regroup at 49 for this one, I think. So 7:49.
Have you just quick question? Have you
Yeah.
eaten at Marouche before, or?
So I haven't eaten at this one because Marouche became like a chain after this, after settling in London. So now you have a couple more on this street, but also around London. So I went to other ones, and there's one really nearby Battersea campus that is a Marouche juice place that is only like for desserts and things like that. So yeah, I'm waiting for this one to fully and properly reopen to also go and see some belly dancing over there. I'm really dying for that.
As your camera just went past this very site, you can also see Ranush Juice,
Yes.
the one that you just mentioned. So there's a branch here as well. The same owners, and an independent business that kind of grew from the 80s till today. But yeah, that's it. On to the next one.
Yes. Right, Costas, have you reached the next place? We have like 30 seconds left. Perfect. Okay, we're settled. Costas, can you reveal our next location?
So this Art Deco building built in 1939, now with a metallic shield in front of it, is it's a restaurant and shisha bar called Shishawi. The current site of Shishawi has changed a lot of owners in the past. It was one of the very first cinemas in the area, one of many. And in the early 80s, it became the Arabic Center, where it aspired to become a cultural center, like from people from all over the Middle East to come and visit and read newspapers printed in the area. And also a place where a lot of screenings of movies from the Middle East would preview for the first time in London. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think like one of the details that you mentioned to me and that I always found really interesting is the 3 lines above the sign Shishawi. So right now on your camera, I'm not sure if we can see them very well, but if you go on the drive, there's this front picture with the 3 lines above Shishawi, and basically those 3 lines represent a cinema space, or they're like a signal that this is a cinema space, and up to today they kept this signal above, even though now it's turned into a shisha place.
Exactly, yeah, and this feature can be seen in many cinemas all around the UK. And what's quite exciting is that not only it's been preserved, but it's also having this metallic shield over it, which is actually embracing the architecture of the previous site. So yeah.
About what you all added in this, I see that someone is adding something about Tibernia. Sorry, if anyone wants to comment on this finding.
Well, given what we've learnt about Tyburn as a place of execution, I'd never heard of Tibernia, and so it's a sort of slightly odd association that I'm making to that place. And I just found the quote from the writer Thackeray describing it in the early 19th century as the elegant, the prosperous, the polite Tibernia, the most respectable district of the habitable globe. So it just, that causes me to think about what he was walking through in relation to now.
Super interesting. Yeah. That's a really nice one to take on forward with the reappropriation part in the end of the workshop. Thank you for that. And there's, I think it's a review again, or is that what's added just below?
That was just a Google review that I found. It seems that they're not doing very well after COVID. If you look at their Google reviews, they're not doing so good. But yeah.
And below we have some screenshots of the signals, halal, kebabs, those lighting signals that are also really, there are loads on Edgware Road, which make them, like, the street on the night time is really lively. And I think Shishawi is like one of the best spots to be in on the streets at night, because there are so many people over there. Having drinks, having shisha together. That's I think the most enjoyable time for this. And some screenshots of the front posters. Bye Bye Dubai, Mohamed Salah, football player. So yeah, that was for Shishawi. We can, yes, Costas.
One last thing. The Bye Bye Dubai is also a reference to a theater play from the 80s, and a lot of the shops have adopted the slogan to their identities, often used ironically, but you can see this slogan extracted from the play around the streets. So yeah.
Nice one, thank you. So we can move on to the next one and regroup at 7:57. Right, Costas, are you ready in front of the next one? Perfect. Right, we are ready to discover the next one. Costas, are you with us? Perfect, thank you. So this used to be the World Record Club, and so that was created in the 50s here in London, and basically that was a club that you could subscribe to by mail order. So you would have to send a letter to the club, and then you would get invites to private live sessions, private buying of records that were mostly producing records for jazz and then rock, and it went on during the 50s and 60s. And then what was so nice about the spaces was it was a small club, and people from the neighborhood would come by, but it grew big and of interest, and eventually it got bought by MI and doesn't exist anymore. But what is really interesting to look into for this space that is now gone is all the leftovers of this period, the 50s and the 60s, so all the flyers and posters that they still have, and all the documentation of that past era of this record label. So someone shared a screenshot. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about this. It looks like a corner building in gray. But that might have been a complicated one to find out about, because basically now it doesn't exist anymore. And also what was interesting with this club is that it was actually working in collaboration with Shishawi, and not the Shishawi per se, but the cinema that was in place first there. And people would basically have this interaction between going to the record label and then assisting to live events in the cinema / parties event space.
I can also say that there's a lot of really exciting artworks in the records released on the label, and the label also extended to Australia, and there's a small scene of graphic designers in Australia that all started their careers by releasing their artworks and covers like under this label. So that's also something interesting to look into.
Someone added something about St. George's Field, if anyone wants to talk about this.
I'm not confident that it's actually in the postcode, but it's what seemed to come up. So I'm always sort of interested in references to post-war, modernist architecture, and the Barbican and Brunswick Centre. And I'm sort of interested in, I don't know, there's something to do with the algorithm. When you type in a postcode, you always get property first, don't you? So, it can be difficult to sort of, really locate a point of interest. But this interests me.
No, that's a way to find also about unexpected links that will be made with the algorithm. But if you type it, for example, in Google Maps, then you will have the location itself or images related to this. So it's different ways. We didn't want to discard any of those, because I think this is always interesting. You stumble by mistake or by chance onto a new piece of information, and actually this complex that this is talking about, the St. George Fields, is something like a huge estate complex that is unfolding in the backdrop of this space, and it goes quite a long way on the street. And we were actually talking about this space last time with Costas. Is that the place that you wanted to break in, Costas, to see the architecture, because it was so peculiar, this arch that is ongoing for meters and meters along the street. Costas, can you hear me?
Hello. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
I think we found, thanks to Simon, the name of the complex, the estate complex that we were looking at the other time, and that you wanted to go in one of those houses to see the architecture, like the building with all those windows and the arch below.
I could show it right now. So this is a massive housing block stretching at the back as well. We can't see it, but yeah, it's one of the most central, I guess, public housing blocks on the road. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we can move to the next one and regroup at 8:05. 7, sorry. Okay, Costas, are you ready? All good. Okay, you can reveal our next location. But I think people spotted it well. If you want to give us a small introduction to this place, Costas.
Well, this is the last traces of the remaining pub in the most southern part of the street. It used to be the old English gentleman, and the owner of the pub actually used to live in the housing mentioned previously across the road. So it is now converted to Alares, and yeah, it's a trace of history that has stayed on the road.
And basically, that's also one of the last symbols of alcohol selling place, basically, on this street. And
exactly.
that was the last pub open, actually, on the street, right?
Yeah, so after the flyover, the Marylebone flyover, it used to be the only pub on the street. Yeah.
And what Costas is pointing at is the small drawing above that was the how you got it again, the sign for for the pub, which has been put in the documents. And someone also found a picture of what used to be the Old English gentleman. So thank you for that. Someone has put, I think it's the introduction text to Alares, to the restaurant, if I'm not mistaken. Is that this? Or an extract from an interview? The one, our dream is to represent.
Yeah, sorry, I went to their website. So actually, you've my interest is raised. I'd like to go here. So have both you and Costas been to Alaraz and would recommend it?
Well, I tried Alares and I would recommend it, but I would recommend it for actually all that is like sandwich food. So all that is wraps and falafel. This is the best they do, really.
Great.
Costas, have you been to Alares?
Yeah, it's I've had the shawarma wrap before there. It's really good. I have the plate version though, not the
yes.
wrap version. So something we also have in Greece, but yeah, I would recommend that to anyone.
And someone put also the front of Victoria Casino, which is just across the street. So
was that Jasper?
Yeah. How did you guess, Simon? Yeah, I thought it had quite a nice relationship to the pub because it's the sort of thing you go to after the pub. But also I was thinking that there's a kind of, with Edgware Road, there is a kind of narrative around economics. And so I didn't get a chance to mention that last image of the Islamic Bank of England or Britain, which was in the last one, also next door. So there's these, and then of course we've got the Bureau de Change and so on. So I kind of think there's a sort of narrative around money that's interesting.
Yes.
In relation to the Edgware Road. So I've kind of, sorry, I've just been following that a little bit.
No, that's really true. And that's really what's happening now. And actually what's the developments are for the future, and what we're noticing with Costas going back and forth always to this place is that at first you had all those small family-owned businesses that were really like about community sharing and so on and so forth. And now, especially with the pandemic, a lot of those places closed down to be replaced with chain restaurants like Pret or Holland and Barrett and so on. And it's now really taking over the street, literally. So it has a strong relationship with capitalism and its enormous developments. Costas, I don't know if you want to add anything else on that, but that's really something that is quite heartbreaking about the street. Like a lot of families are just like closing down those places to leave space to bigger chains.
Yeah, the area definitely caters to the ultra rich more and more now, and you can see this. It's very evident on the street, like especially during the pandemic when everything was closed down. The only thing moving was the construction works and the luxurious housing appearing in every other corner on the road. And on the other side, you have a lot of those independent businesses that have been here for a while, closing down one after the other. So it is a reality of London, I guess, and it does paint a picture of what is currently happening.
Yeah. But yeah, no, thank you, Jasper. Like this is really, really spot on about what's going on with the street. So we can move on to the three last ones. So we can regroup at 14 past because it's a quick one, the next one. So I just added it on the chat. Again, it's a postcode. So yeah, 14 past. Costas, are you almost in front of this place? Top. So I think we can go ahead with the next one, if you want to reveal it. So I think everyone found it. It's Café Hélène, and Café Hélène is like again one of those few places. There's actually only 2 on the street who have which have a late night license. So that's really there's a lot of hype around Café Hélène because it's like one that is open until 5 a.m. You will find kebab if you come back from the party on Edgware Road. You can stop by in there, and there's also like she's really good at selling the place as well. Like I find it really funny that someone took the screenshot. Famous worldwide, voted best shawarma in the world. This doesn't surprise me at all, coming from also Helen, who opened it in 1991. Kostas, do you want to talk a bit more about Helen as a character on the street?
Yeah, I was having some conversations with some people while visiting the road, and a lot of people said that Helen is actually supporting a lot of people on the road, and everyone has a lot of respect for her. I've never seen her, but like she's still around and apparently very active with people around the road, and yeah.
It's this kind of characters that everyone talk about in the neighborhood, but you never see them. And also a video that I really love about this place is Usain Bolt, who came at Café Hélène, and since then it became like a next level shawarma on Edgware Road. And that's the first link that I added just right under the postcode. So that's Café Hélène. We're just like inviting you to come over and discover about this place. This is and maybe you will be able to catch Helen, which we haven't managed so far, but if you do, please tell us. And we can move to the next one and regroup at 7:19. Kostas, are you nearly there or are you running? In 2 minutes, okay. No worries. Cool. You can open up the camera whenever you're arriving there.
So we're right over the Marylebone flyover. And as you can see here, closed down and barred. There used to be the subway. And this subway led to a little gallery called Subway Gallery, run by artist Robert Gordon McHarg III. And it housed numerous exhibitions with works of Yoko Ono as well presented. And yeah, he decided to rename the subway Joe Strummer subway. As you can see here, it's been quite vandalized, but you would be able to see his signage here. It was also rumored that singer from The Clash, Joe Strummer, would be basking in this subway when he was young, and quite a few people claimed to see him, and apparently it was quite annoying to a lot of people, but I think, yeah, it's an interesting part of history.
That's what we know about this place. Someone added a picture of I think the building itself, like the facade, and then the postcode area specs. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about this. Like, what are those actually? And is the
Sorry, Louise. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just came across this site. Actually, it's called Postcode Area, which gives you information on, the demographics of an area. And when I clicked on, I mean, it was a bit odd to see that, for example, there's an indication that in this postcode, the AB social class percentage is 31%, but then there's nothing for average wage. But if you actually go to the site, you can click on different hyperlinks and get information. So I suppose it's a little bit connected to the postcode as potential property, yes. Location, where you buyer beware. You want to find out a little bit more about the area. So it's quite interesting.
That's super interesting because, like, I see also like average wage £0, crime rate really high, and that's interesting because like the police station is literally meters away from there. So that's a nice one. Definitely something to check when you're looking for the next place you're going to be living in, or maybe not. We'll have to check the accuracy. And there was one last image in the bottom, if anyone wants to.
Yeah, that is actually the police station.
Yeah.
Which on Edgware Road is notorious for being, for taking people in. I think they've got the kind of anti-terrorist sort of group in there.
Yeah, the units. Yeah.
The unit, yeah, exactly. So they that's where they hold. They keep the suspected terrorists in that part of the police station. There's a big kind of, apparently it goes underground, many levels down. There's all sorts of kind of floors with cells of different types, if you if you're there, sometimes you see police cars kind of going in and out of the building, and they can also enter beneath the building. And so it's kind of it's basically a super secure police station. I think one of the most secure police stations in London.
Yeah, Costas is just in front of it now. Yes, that's really interesting. I didn't know about like the underground part of it.
Which is also closing down, it seems. So that's also barred. So more of this housing, the Barclay Estates.
Well,
Right
they'll probably replace the basement with a kind of swimming pool or something, underground swimming pools or something like that. And gym.
Why not? That would fit the narrative.
Just to say, there's a documentary series, I think it's from the early 90s, called Paddington Green, which sort of essentially followed a number of people that lived in the neighborhood over time. So you might be able to find that on YouTube, but I'm sure that's a real sort of, if you like, a period piece now, but we'll add to this.
Really nice. Thank you for that. Right, we're ready to move to the last one. So we can regroup, we're going to slightly overrun. So we can regroup in 3 minutes, so at 28 past, to uncover this last one and to finish up the walk. Okay, Costas, did you reach the next space? There you go. So basically, as people spotted it well, it used to be a music hall. So it was the White Lion Public House, then moved into a concert hall, then a music hall, then the Metropolitan Music Hall, and the Metropolitan Theatre of Varieties. So basically, this place is now fully gone, but it has taken many shapes, but all around always this this establishment for music, and that was first created in 1853 and got fully destroyed in 63, and that's the pictures that you can see at the bottom when the deconstruction happened. And what is interesting about this space is that if you look in some of the links that I will add just in a bit, what is interesting is to like read about people telling their memories of witnessing a concert and going in families, family gatherings over there to listen to music, or in first dates or first encounters with your beloved ones. And it's really, for me, I always found it really touching to see, to read about those testimonies. And you have also many different drawings and pictures about how the space evolved over time. And what is a bit of a pity is that now you cannot have any trace of it. Like you will just pass in front of Sainsbury's and never witness what grandiose events around music were happening over there. So that's a hidden memory of the street. Costas, do you have anything to add on the Metropolitan Music Hall?
So I think the reason that we decided to add the music hall as well is that it sort of emphasizes how the street has a history of nightlife and a lot of cinemas, theaters, and even now some places remaining where people can visit the road at nighttime. Charlie Chaplin also did some of his first plays around the area. So this really was a district where people would come out like to have a good time in the weekends, I guess. So yeah, this is our last site.
And I think like one of the first role actually, just for the small anecdote, for Charlie Chaplin on this street while performing here was as a poodle, which is like, okay, Chaplin started from there, so there was a long road that happened, but that's always nice to think about this in that sense. So we reached the end of the walk itself. So what is nice is that now you all have access to this document in which you have bits and pieces about each of the space. You can obviously come back to it and revisit some of the spaces, or if you want to go back to the address and find out about more things in person, live on location, or if you want to discuss it with more people, feel free to share it. It's a time capsule in itself already, this thing. But what we thought would be nice, since we have around creatives, would be to also take some parts of this and reappropriate it for yourself. So what we settled was a reinterpretation folder called The Future Nostalgia that I've put on the chat. And basically there, if you want to, you can take, would that be an image that inspire you or a piece of text, and you can reinterpret it. So we left you with the two folders, drawings and visuals, in which you have templates, and the text folder in which you can drop the text files. And basically the templates are just acting as guides for you if you want a starting point. But yeah, that's really an open invitation. So I think we're gonna close off the walk over here, but it doesn't mean that the walk stops right there. You can really go back to it, and that's something that we have done over the last months with Kostas, is literally coming back every 2 weeks or and check out how the place evolves. And this was a kind of glimpse on our methodology of work. So go and walk to find out about the space, but also talk to people, try to find the characters and the personas that are hiding on the street, visit the actual locations and rediscover them. Would that be by attending events or having food or just really literally walking? And we hope that it was a way for us to share this with you. And yeah, I think like if anyone wants to participate to this reinterpretation, you can do it in your own time. We will leave it there, and the drive will always be open. So if you want to share it as well, and if you lose the link, you can always go back to the Walkative, and we will share again the link with everyone. That's what I have to say on my end for now. Kostas, do you have anything you want to share?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for taking time in the Friday for a workshop. Hopefully, like these different fragments of the road, sparked an interest or helped you imagine it at a different time, or perhaps what it could be in the future. So, I think the reinterpretation is there for. Even if you have a feeling, either if it's an optimistic one or pessimistic one about the future of the road, how do you imagine it, and what do we learn from things that already happened before, and in a non-nostalgic way necessarily? So I think, we hope like maybe some of those places you knew already about, or maybe you've discovered them, and maybe it will encourage you as well to look into the details of your neighborhood. And exactly. I think also through confinement like this for the last year, through walking and kind of lifting your head up, it's kind of been a great way to learn more about the spaces around us. But thank you so much. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, many thanks to everyone, really. Yeah.
Thank you, Kostas and Louise, and sure everybody will join me in saying thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. You two give us an amazing walk, especially closer when I see outside the ring and the ring, like you keep going.
Kostas deserves a shawarma right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting when, especially hearing like your story when eating in shop or some cinemas, and like different kinds of categories of the shop. I mean, it's really interesting, really made me want to physically visit the shop. And I'm thinking if now there any audience or participant would like to share anything, or we should end this up. Simon?
Well, no, I've just been thinking about how extraordinary the last 90 minutes has been. I suppose I had a small doubt, is this going to work? But it has worked so well. I mean, Louise and Kostas, I mean, the sort of, it was a sort of seamless to and fro. And once I'd worked out actually how to drop things into the Google document, I was away. And I sort of like that. It's sort of quite democratic, isn't it? It's because it's sort of opening it up for the participant walkers to take their own line and actually find their way through, beyond the postcode into, sort of zooming in. So I've never really, I've walked Edgware Road, but I've never really spent any time there. And you've made me want to actually spend time there. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
I think Jasper might want to add something, putting him on the spot.
Thanks, Simon. I've already said thanks in the chat, but just to say that the Edgware Road, I just kind of feel like that could continue on so many different levels. We've been running this Walkative project for nearly a decade now, and I can imagine that it could just take place on the Edgware Road every time, and you could have a completely different walk. It's fascinating. But yeah, thank you. And I also agree, the method you've developed very interesting and experimental, and also risk taking. You know, you really pulled it off. So congratulations, thank you.
Thank you.
And I would just want to add that, you know, many thanks are owed to Pat and Alistair this last year, under sort of quite unpromising circumstances, to put together such a great program of walks, and to have just really identified some very, very interesting contributors, including Louise and Kostas. So we thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Buys a beer when we do meet up in person.
Yeah, we're still going to celebrate. We owe you some drinks. So
okay, so everyone in Shishawi for drinks.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you, Louise and Costa.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.